Hi, Matt Tinker again with some more on the Warco. Well, I made the non-return valve, which worked okay on the bench, but in actual practice it's not working very well on the saw. The ball bearing that I used is not seating properly in the housing. So I've made a modification to the non-return valve, which is to take a 6mm ball bearing and drill it, tap it, and add a 4mm piece of 4mm rod to it, so that I can then lap it into the seat. So that's basically what this next video is going to be about. The thing that I think I left out of both the introductory video and the video on drilling the ball bearing, I of course annealed it by heating it red hot and leaving it to cool down slowly, so it's no longer a hard ball bearing but one that can be drilled. So now I'm going to spot the end with just the tip of this 4mm bit. It's a bit big, but all I want to do is to make a center mark on it, so that I can now drill that with a 3.2mm bit. I don't have a 3.3. This should be sufficient to for my 4mm by 7/10 tap, so that I can then make a piece, so that I can then quite simply thread the inside of the hole in the ball bearing. Now, 4mm by 8 tap. Let's see if we can tap this. I'm going to tap it dry rather than with engine oil. I haven't got any tapping fluid. It seems to be doing okay. The tension. Oh, it doesn't really matter. I've got more of these little ball bearings. I could always do it another. I think we're actually we should be getting close to being right the way through now. Yeah, I'm just checking the tailstock is okay. So now I've tapped a hole in a 6mm ball bearing. The next thing is to thread a piece of 4mm rod, which won't be too difficult in comparison with that. I'm very pleased that that's worked so well. I will just. Now I have this strange piece of 4mm diameter on the end, unknown steel that came out of my scrap box, I'm going to keep this large portion on it here because it doesn't matter as far as what I've got to do with it is concerned, and it'll actually be quite useful for holding it when grinding the ball into the seat of the valve. So we'll just go on from there. I'm first of all going to break the corners, make it easier to thread the file. It's actually got a center hole in it which could be useful later on. So from there I'm going to thread it 4mm by 8 so that it'll fit into the ball bearing that I've drilled and somehow I've managed to lose a little bit of video that has threading the end of the 4mm rod on it. I'm getting a bit tired of losing things, but there we are, that's the way it is. I'm learning a lot. So I've got to be more careful about making sure that things are properly switched on and switched off at the right time, and so on and so forth. So, consider the 4mm rod threaded. So, there's my ball bearing on its little rod, which I will now grind in to the... Okay, just put a little bit of grinding paste on the ball end of this that I've just made. And grind the valve in. I'm also working it up and down because it was having trouble sticking before. So now I'm going to I hope this is going to be a solution to the problem. Now, let's try and get that into focus. I don't think you can see it. Maybe you can, but just on the edge, if I can get some sunlight on it, just on the edge, there's a track all the way around, which is where the grinding paste has rubbed against the whole of the surface of the spherical end. Okay, well, I'll just give it another go because I can't see down into the... or maybe I can from over here.
De construire avec un artifice plus savant une symphonie de couleurs. Aussi, l'œil éprouve-t-il une satisfaction complète devant ce tableau dont l'éclat éblouissant ne détruit pas l'harmonie. La peinture de M. Regnault est tellement pénétrée de lumière qu'elle produit à côté des autres tableaux l'effet d'un vitrail traversé de soleil.
As I can't see it, I'm just going to overdo it, just in case, so that it will be just smoothing out the inside of the tube. you might be able to see it, that there's a little ring around, a little shiny ring. I think I'm going to give it some more because it's not an even thickness.
Et nous explorions toujours d'entendre donc Philippe Gauthier décrire le tableau. C'est un tableau qui a surpris, qui a été bien accueilli lorsqu'il a été présenté en 72 à l'École des Beaux-Arts.
Il a en tout cas fait de l'effet aux spectateurs parce qu'il a tout de suite été ensuite acheté à la famille et puis exposé au musée du Luxembourg, puisque c'est le dessin des tableaux qui venaient d'être faits. Et à ce moment-là, les dames du monde qui regardaient ça s'évanouissaient. Donc ça a fait tout un scandale, il fallait les sortir, les soigner, appeler les médecins. Enfin, c'est un tableau qui a provoqué en tout cas...
I'm pretty pleased with this so far. Another go.
Et il était hors scène déjà, et je dois dire que lorsque l'on met devant le tableau, la tête située assez près de votre visage parce qu'elle est dans le bas du tableau, c'est un tableau extrêmement haut. Et vous voyez ce son qui coule comme un dripping, un petit peu comme un colloque. C'est-à-dire quand je demande même comment il l'a exécuté, tellement ça donne l'impression d'avoir été lancé. C'était pas une commande ce grand tableau.
Okay. Here we go. Very gently. It should. Yeah. There it is. A little nub in the middle won't, and the end won't matter at all. Okay, so let's go and see how that works. Okay, so as you can see, this is the new end for the valve that will now fit into the spring so that it's guided, but it doesn't hang up on the coils of the spring. You can actually see that the seat is straighter, and that should be better than it was. So now the little cap no longer has a thread on it. It's been in and out, and it's lost its thread entirely. But that is sufficient to hold it in whilst it goes into the... And there's the spring working. Now, that should, in my opinion, be better. Well, we'll go on from there and see how it works. Okay, here it is with here's the saw with the new setup for the non-return valve. As you can see, it's holding very well, whereas before it would have just descended. There is, it's now descending relatively fast, but I set the speed as before. I tried adjusting the speed that it goes down at. There you can see that it's going down very, very slowly on its own. And this is the oil seeping up around this piston. The other piston doesn't leak much. And I'm beginning to wonder whether I need to put an O-ring or something in the top of this to stop the seep. Because I found out how the mechanism works, which I'll need a drawing to explain. It will probably be better if I drew it. But anyway, there it is. And I'm now going to think about putting a blade in it and seeing how it cuts. I haven't received the switch yet, so I've been just plugging and unplugging it. I've, amongst other things, found quite a reasonable selection of blades on eBay that didn't cost me an arm and a leg. I got quotes from Cromwell Tools, which would have cost me an arm and a leg, because their special offers don't apply to people that live outside the UK. You get a surcharge for living outside the UK and not the percentage. So eBay served me very well. Here's something that I found fun. Now, when I was taking the saw apart, I found these bits of cardboard used as shims to raise up the to shim the drivetrain gear apart, and these look to me to be original Taiwanese, Chinese something or other cardboard that got used for shims. I thought that was rather amusing. So I've put in one of my favourite forms of shim stock, which are pieces of banding. These pallet bands are actually very uniform. They are 0.5 millimeter thick and sprung, and make springs, amongst other things, springy parallels, straight parallels, all sorts of things come out of these. And one thickness was the right amount to have just a bit of clearance on the gearing. So that was, so that's that bit. I'm going to carry on putting it back together again. I'm not going to go through the process of all of it going back together, because it's only just bolting bits on. The things that are more interesting are things like things I've done today. The finding a real solution to the non-return valve, and now I'm probably going to have to do something about the oil venting up past the timing piston, but that's for another day.